host of the Gridiron.
Now, this here, very, very interesting. The worst move that the Giants can make in the draft. I've seen this article here. And if we talk about this here, right? I mean, something the Giants didn't do last year. And in 3 out of the last 4 years in the draft, they only drafted one, I believe it was, right? 2021, 2023, and 2024, we drafted one offensive lineman. Not very good, right? Let's see, this in 2023, we drafted John Michael Schmitz. No other offensive lineman. Last year, we didn't draft the offensive lineman in 2021. I mean, my God, what a dumpster fire class that was. Absolutely straight up freaking dumpster fire. 2021. Oh my God. Kadarius Toney, Aaron Robinson, who was probably going to be maybe a decent cornerback, but then he got injured, and he was never able to. Right, so he's gone. Right, Ellerson Smith, a guy couldn't walk without popping a hamstring or something. Like, I couldn't stay healthy. It's unbelievable. Gary Brightwell, right, and Rodarius Williams. I mean, the only one was Azeez Ojulari, but of course, all he did was get injured. I mean, what a class that was. But once again, no offensive lineman, right? Now, of course, in 2022, we drafted an offensive line, Evan Neal and Joshua Zudo. We haven't really developed them that well, right? And of course, Marcus McKeithen, he's gone, right? But we're not even sure if Zudo and McKeithen, Zudo, Neal might be the last year with the Giants. I can't see the Giants picking up Neal's fifth-year option. Right? Yeah. So, but this is one of the problems, especially with Bobby Johnson, right? Not developing, this young talent, right? We brought in all these guys, and it's like some of these guys just look lost out there, totally lost. So the worst move the Giants could make in the roster building process, not drafting any offensive lineman, could lead to disaster in the roster building process. Now, the one thing is you should always try to at least, maybe draft, somebody on the offensive line, especially if you have 8 picks. One of them should be on the offense. One should be on the defensive line. Whether it's an edge rusher, a defensive lineman, or an offensive lineman, you should always draft somebody there. I said, a lot of times, if you wait till the 6th round to draft a defensive lineman, chances are, an edge rusher, chances are it may not necessarily wind up being a home run hitter, right? But you can certainly draft an offensive lineman in the later rounds, and they can work out, right? There's more, I would have to think that there's more successful undrafted free agent offensive linemen, more successful 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round offensive linemen than there are defensive linemen. So having as many picks as the Giants, 8, right? And not drafting an offensive lineman this year would be a mistake. The famous philosopher George Santayana, whatever the heck that is, once said, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." Ooh, good words. I like that. Giants can learn from the quote this offseason from looking back at their roster construction in the past years. General Manager Joe Schoen did not select an offensive lineman in last year's draft. Instead, he solidified the line by signing Jermaine Elumenor, Jon Runyan Jr., and Greg Van Roten in free agency to solidify the lines. And, to all intents and purposes, the line was pretty good. Until it started, obviously Andrew Thomas got injured, Elumenor missed some time, Van Roten was the only one in there that stayed healthy the whole time. Runyan got injured, right? He played the whole season with a separated shoulder, right? Everybody went in there, seemed Schlottman, whatever you want to pronounce his name. He got injured right off the bat. It was just a disaster, pretty much as it is every year. They also had backup guards Aaron Stinnie and Austin Schlottman. But it was not enough, as the offensive line dealt with many injuries, as it seemed like every year. Giants used 10 different offensive line combinations, and they tied for the most in the league. The line improved in the early stages. It did. It did reasonably well. Yep. But the progress went out the window when Andrew Thomas went down with a season-ending foot injury. The coaching staff tried Josh Rizzuto, a long-time tackle, Chris Hubbard, instead of Thomas. But both players were benched for poor play. They were forced to shift Elumenor from right tackle over to left tackle. This led to the 2020 first-round pick, Evan Neal, resuming duties on the right side after starting his season on the bench. Neal was supposed to cross-train as a guard in the offseason before ankle surgery put a wrench in that plan. The interior offensive line was more sturdy than the tackle positions. Van Roten started all 17 games, and Runyan started 13 games before suffering his season-ending injury. John Michael Schmitz missed 2 games this season while dealing with a shoulder injury for the second consecutive year. Now, he needs to develop, too. He needs to develop. As a unit, the line finished the season with 215 total pressures, 45 quarterback hits, and 48 sacks allowed. They also ranked 26th in pass block win rate and 27th run block win rate. They ranked 23rd in PFF's offensive line ranking, which was better than the year before. Right? The offensive line experienced similar issues in 2023, allowing 85 sacks, the second most in league history since sacks became a track stat. Even after that season, Schoen opted to bring in veteran free agents instead of the draft. This time, he should take notes from division rivals, the Eagles, on how they built their line. Well, also, the Eagles also have probably maybe the top 2 or so offensive line coaches in all of football. They're blessed with that. Okay, doesn't matter who they bring in. They're blessed with a really good offensive line coach. Philadelphia drafted 5 offensive linemen in the last 4 draft classes. They used premium draft picks, drafting a lineman in the first 3 rounds in 3 out of their 4 previous drafts to solidify the line and add depth. They also do a terrific job allowing the prospects to develop in a backup role, something the Giants don't do. I mean, you bring somebody in, and a lot of times you put somebody in there to back up, and it's like, oh my God, right? Developing the young players is just not there. Not there. This season, the Eagles' offensive line ranked 6th in pass block win rate and 9th in run block win rate. They also finished the season with the second most rushing yards in the league, only behind the Ravens. But with the Ravens, one of the biggest things with the Ravens, they love Lamar Jackson. Jalen Hurts does not provide that much of a running as Jalen Hurts, as Lamar Jackson does. Schoen drafted 4 offensive linemen in his first 4 draft classes, but none developed under. Schoen drafted 4 linemen in his first 4 draft classes. He's only had 3 draft classes. What the hell he's talking about? But none developed under 2 different offensive line coaches. However, there is room for optimism under second-year coach Carmen Basilio. Last season, Neal was seen as a bust, but improved from a 39.8 overall PFF grade in 2023 to a 61.2 in 2024. According to PFF, he also ranked with a run blocking grade of 80.8. So his pass blocking grade is still shaky, but his run blocking is fantastic. That's why I move him in the guard, right? Giants need depth, but also have a hole at right guard. Van Roten is an unrestricted free agent agent this season. Giants should re-sign him and draft a guard to add depth to the interior line. Absolutely. In fact, Schoen should not be afraid to add multiple offensive linemen during and after the draft. Absolutely. Oh, I'm sure he'll be bringing. I mean, they're always bringing in, without question, always bringing in, guys. They have to win. Have to win a spot, obviously, on the team and all that. But especially if you got 8 picks, regardless. I mean, you should always be drafting somebody on the defensive line and somebody on the offensive line. I said the problem is a lot of times what you want to get, a lot of times, when you're drafting like a defensive lineman or an edge rusher, right? In the 6th and 7th round, or 5th round for DJ Davidson, let me say, Where are we? DJ Davidson. Was it 5th round? Yep, 5th round. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So when you're drafting, the 5th round, 6th round, 7th, those defensive linemen, a lot of times they're not super special. When you're drafting like maybe an outside, an edge rusher or something like that, don't expect much. I mean, you get a body, right? But don't expect, we're not talking Reggie White, okay? If you want somebody really good on the deep edge, on the deep, for the most part, right? Got to get them in the first couple rounds, for the most part. Just from seems like to me, especially edge rushers. It doesn't mean you can't find a diamond in the rough or something like that, but it just seems to me like if you're drafting a defensive tackle or an edge rusher, something like that, and you draft them later on, it's kind of like you got a warm body that can maybe walk and chew gum. That's, like, I mean, you're not getting super spectacular results from those guys. If you want somebody in the deep end, get them early, right? How many times on the offensive line do you see offensive linemen play? A lot of times they play well together, though, but you can see undrafted free agents, guy drafted in the 6th round, the 5th round, the 4th round, the 7th round, who can be pretty decent offensive linemen. So, if you can get, if you got to have good coaching and you got to develop these guys, but you can draft somebody later on the offensive line, and once again, if you can develop them, if you have the good coaching, right, these guys can turn out to be okay, right, later on. But I said, if you're going to draft a defensive lineman or an edge rusher, get them early. But I mean, I said, especially if the Giants have this many draft picks, you really should, take a. I mean, I said, if they're not going to take a quarterback, I'd love to see him grab maybe if Carter's there, that would be fantastic. Well, not the defensive tackle from Michigan. Take one of those two guys, get somebody next to Sexy. Oh, man, that'd be fantastic. Really, really be good.